You were used to having friends everywhere in your primary school, in your secondary school, in your university, in church, in your neighborhood, everywhere while you were growing up. Like, they're just people you could easily relate to. And then as a child, you're so sweet, you're so innocent, you're so carefree, you don't have anything to think about, there's no pressure. You just relate with almost anybody with ease until adulthood happened. Then there became jobs, distance, pressures, and suddenly the circle started getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And making friends, honestly, it begins to feel really hard because it looks like everybody has their own person, and then there's just no room for you. If that has been your experience, well, you're not alone. Today we are going to talk about why maintaining friendships as an adult gets really hard. Welcome back to Real Talk Adulthood. I'm Penny, and you're welcome to episode 8. Last week on episode 7, we spoke about why money is stressful to adults and then navigating financial stress as an adult. If you missed that episode, you know the drill. I'll link it in this episode so it will be easy for you to find, or you can just go to the entire podcast playlist because there's a lot for you to watch. In today's episode, we'll be talking about something most of us adults grieve silently. That is friendship, community, the sense of belonging. Nobody told me that one of the hardest parts of growing up is keeping and maintaining your people. Here's something that doesn't get said enough. Adulthood loneliness is real. Research has actually shown that one of the most common experience feeling amongst adults is the feeling of loneliness. And yet that's one of the feeling most of us are least likely to admit that we actually experience, because somewhere along the line we got the message that being needy, having friends, needing to have people in your circle is a sign of weakness. But here is the truth. I've learned that no human being is an island. We were all created for connections. We need each other. Nobody can exist without the other person. And now, when I talk about connections, not just romantic connections, we need people that are in our lives for good. We need good people that are with us in the good times, in the bad times. We need people that we can just call by 11 p.m. and say, "Oh, I'm not okay. This is what happened. This is what is going on." Beyond the, "Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm just tired," and the mask we carry around. We need people that we can actually be honest to about how we feel, about how we are dealing with life, about how we are coping. And then they don't panic, they don't feel bad, they don't see it as our weakness, but then they empathize and go through stuff with us. Some people are actually lucky enough to still carry or maintain that connection from childhood into adulthood, and I can't tell you how rare and beautiful and amazing that kind of connection is. But other people like me who do not have that connection, and it's not because we are not likable people, it's because most of the institutions that made this connection easier for us have been taken away. Now we are saddled with responsibilities, we are saddled with a lot, and there are just so many factors around it. I used to say I am very comfortable with my own company, and to be honest, I still am, but I crave friendships. Like, I crave that connection. I crave the opportunity to have people in my life that I can be real with, that I can be honest with, that I can be truthful with, that I can share beautiful moments with, I can travel with, I can make money with, I can do a lot of beautiful things, because the more the merrier. Connections are actually beautiful. There are more experiencing, there are more things to learn from being around people than actually being alone. I always felt like I didn't really have many friends, or I don't really have friends, or don't even bother making friends because I am bad at making friends. But honestly, so many people are also bad at making friends. That's the whole deal with adulthood thing. Making friends as an adult can be really hard, and loneliness as an adult is also as real as it gets. So, why is it generally hard to make friends as an adult? From a personal perspective, it's difficult for me to make friends. Now coupled with the challenges that comes with adulthood. The first reason why making friends as an adult seems really difficult for most of us is the fact that time and proximity no longer work in our favor. Most of us grew up making friends in school. We're always spending much time together in class. Our neighbors, whenever we go back home, we spend the time together. We're always together. Like there were always institutions, activities, and communities that kept us together. So many relationships, including friendships, do not do well with distance because, unlike relationship with your family members, you can go years without talking, but you know that this is my blood, this is family, it doesn't change. It's not the same with friendships and other connections. You need to put in a certain level of effort to show or to keep that connection close. If not, distance grows people apart. When you become an adult, sometimes it may require you moving to an entirely different country from the one you grew in, moving to an entirely different city, having different dynamics, having a very demanding job. You are up very early in the morning and you come back very late. When you come back, you are so tired. You plan to do so many things and you don't remember. For me, when I was actively working, I would make plans and schedule that, oh, I'm going to call certain people today. But I'll get overtaken with all the activities at work. When I come back, I just want to eat and I just want to sleep. Before you know it, the next day, and I'm already at work. And then I remember that I was supposed to reach out to this person, but I didn't. So all those things could actually be a strain and be a reason why maintaining friendship is really hard. The second reason is we become more guarded as we grow older. I mentioned earlier that as kids, we are carefree. We don't really carry histories. We don't really keep things in mind. We forgive easily, we forget easily, and we move on. So it was easy to make friends, connect. But as adults, we carry histories, we keep records of the past, we forgive, but forgetting becomes really hard. Some of us went through experiences that we are not happy about, we are not proud of. So we build walls, and the walls some of us build might even be higher than the highest skyscrapers in the world because we are scared of getting hurt again. We overthink things. I always think, what if this person doesn't get my sense of humor? What if this person doesn't get my personality? I often feel like I get misunderstood a lot. So I'd rather just be by myself. And I grew up having this fear of, oh, I don't want to hurt you because this is my personality. So the best thing for me has always been avoidance. I always choose to be alone than to be misunderstood. I've always felt like than for me to have people out there misunderstanding me or having to be too careful, walking around on eggshells around people's emotions, I'd rather just be alone because when I am alone, I can be myself. But then if we have good friends, good connections, there can be understanding for each other's personality, but it really gets hard opening up to even get to know if these people are actually good, if they're actually your people or not, with all those walls up in our hearts and in our minds. Third major reason is the fact that most of us adults don't know how to initiate anymore. It's not as easy as, oh, you just walk up to this person, have a conversation, suggest things. It's really hard. We are here, one person is thinking, oh, it's going to feel weird, it's going to feel awkward if I reach out first. And the opposite party is probably thinking the same thing. So at the end of the day, nobody reaches out, nothing happens. And sometimes we hope that things just work out and we just connect automatically. And most of the time, that's not actually the case. As someone who struggles a lot with building friendships, with building communities, because I'm actually scared of being misunderstood, but then at the same time, I really want to have those connections because I low key honestly feel lonely. There are times that I just want to hang out. Oh, call my girls, let's hang out at this spot. Let's plan a trip together. Let's travel. Let's do this. Let's do that. But I can't because I don't really have those friendships. I don't really have those connections. But I've been trying my best to get out of that bubble and out of that circle and connect. Here are a few things I think might help us navigate having friendships and meaningful connections as adults. The first is Be the one who reaches out. This is a very hard one for me as a person because I feel like, okay, what am I going to do or what am I going to say? I think about how the other person is going to respond before I even reach out because I'm scared of being embarrassed, I'm scared of being rejected, I'm scared of being looked down on. But I've told myself that if I really want to make friends and connections, I have to try to reach out first. I may not always be the one to reach out first, but if I am in a place that, oh, I like this person's vibes, I like this person's perspective, I like this person's aura, and the person is not reaching out to me, there's no harm reaching out to the person and saying something like, hi, I like your outfit, or throw in one or two compliments. If it goes well, fine. If it doesn't go well, fine. Second, show up consistently. This is something that I am very bad at, or let me say, I was very bad at because I don't know how to show up consistently for friends, and that has robbed me of a lot of good friendship. The best friend I ever had, today we are completely strangers because of distance and because of the lack of consistency. No consistency in checking on the other person because we've been in different cities right after school and all. Our timings and schedules never aligned, and I feel like a simple phone call and a simple text, hey, how are you doing, often would have made a difference. But at this point, it's too late. But moving forward, checking up consistently is something I suggest to maintain good and meaningful friendships. Now, when I say checking up consistently, I'm not saying you have to wake up every morning and be like, hey, hi, how are you? No. Even if it's just once a month, a happy new month, how are you? Just check in because I noticed something with we humans. We grow, we evolve. Someone you knew 2 months ago might not be the same person when you reach out. There are so many things that have happened in the person's life. There are so many events that have occurred. There are so many ways the person has been affected. And the only way we grow with people is when we stay consistently in touch and then we fill each other in on each other's lives. That's how we grow with people. And that's how we grow to be part of people's lives. The third suggestion is put yourself in rooms where connection is possible. I feel weird suggesting this because I barely do that as a person. I sit on my chair, I sit on my phone or my system all day, hoping that connections will just happen magically without me having to go out. Sometimes the best people we are going to meet are out there. So I'm learning to try to put myself in positions where I would be able to make connections easily. So moving forward, if there's any meaningful gathering, maybe a conference, a workshop, a business meet, I'll try to attend because in doing so, I'm sure I'll be able to meet like-minded people. The point I'm making is put yourself out there in places, in events that align with the kind of person you want to be. And then it can help you to actually connect with people who think like you, people who help you. Because one thing I've also learned about making friends in adulthood is the fact that as we grow, most of us become different people. It's not like when we were kids, we were just kids trying to grow up and trying to figure out ourselves. When we become adults, that part of figuring ourselves out become very serious because most of us have chosen a path we want to follow. Most of us know the kind of company we want to keep and the kind we don't want to keep. And some personalities don't fit into the kind of people that we're evolving to become. That's why we lose some of the connections, and some of the connections align no matter who we choose to be. So we're able to carry on those connections no matter what phase or stage in our lives we go into. So when considering making friends and connections as adults, it's easier to go in the direction of people that think like you, people that can help you, people that can grow you, people that can be positive impact to you, people that can help your life spiritually, physically, mentally, and in different ways. People that can become connections for your kids if you eventually get to have kids in the future. People that can be of meaningful value to your life, not people that will drain you or not people that will be in negative or a draining impact in your life. The first thing is invest in the friends that you have. When I say investment doesn't necessarily mean you bring finances. You can invest in people's life in different ways. Be there for them when they need you. Help them with things. Connect them to things that will help them grow. That is how we invest in each other's life. Don't just be a friend that is there to collect and then not bring any value, because honestly, it can get draining. But if you're a friend that gives value, that cares about your friend, you connect, you provide possible solutions, you invest in them. Oh, your friend is going through this and you know you can solve the problem. You solve it for them without expecting anything in return, because that is what friendship about. There's so much that you can benefit from that friendship, and that friendship can also benefit from you. And eventually, genuine friendships and connections actually begin to feel like family. I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this episode that I love my own company, and I used to feel like I didn't need anybody, and I used to feel like I'm just going to be okay by myself because I don't want to be overstepped on, I don't want to be misunderstood and things like that. But recently, I came out of all this bubble and all these thoughts and all these things that are holding me back, and I really want to make good friends. And what has actually inspired these thoughts is I recently had a meditation or a look back on my dad's life. So many things I have benefited as a person today is as a result of one of my dad's friends. Like, barely from any family, barely from any relative. The time when I had to go to university, I didn't have a place to stay before I start figuring my things out. My dad reached out to his friend. They've been friends for over 30 years now. They went to college together, but somehow he maintained that friendship. And when it was time for me to go to school, all he needed to do was make a phone call. Oh, my daughter is coming to school in your city and she doesn't have a place to stay yet. Can she stay with you? And the friend was like, yes. He was really happy to see me. In fact, he drove to pick me up from the park when I landed in his city. And when he saw me, he hugged me and he was like, he is so happy to meet one of my dad's kids. Apparently, they all now have grown up kids because I'm the last child my dad has. And since they left school, they haven't actually met physically, but they kept communicating. Once in a while, they will call each other, they'll check on each other. And to be honest, I was touched because the same friend treated me as a family. When I was operated and I had to go back to school, he didn't want me to stay alone. He told my dad that no, I would stay with him. His wife, by extension, showed me so much kindness because of the friendship my dad had with her husband. When I had a surgery and I couldn't really do things for myself, she didn't allow me do anything. She made sure I was well taken care of. She made sure everything was going well for me. I felt so loved. I felt so at home. And these are people that are not related to me by blood. The only form of relationship we had is the fact that he was my dad's friend, friendship, and that really touched me. The point I'm making is after seeing how much I have learned, how much I have benefited from the friendships that my dad chose to keep in his life, it has taught me to want to keep good friends, because I thought of it the other day and I was like, if eventually I had kids today, what friend can I call to say, oh, my child is going through this, can you help? And to be honest, at this point, the answer is none, because I haven't invested in any friendship. But if I begin to invest in friendships, even if not for my kids, the company, the joy, the love, the community, the companionship, it takes away loneliness and then it goes a long way. Imagine joining heads trying to do something amazing and you have other people to help you. It actually makes the job easier. It actually makes the weight lighter, and it actually makes the journey more interesting. So here's what I have to say to myself and so many other people who are like me out there. We are not too old to make friends. We are not impossible to understand. We are not too much or over the top for the kind of genuine connection that we are looking for. But we just have to be willing to pursue it. We have to be willing to open our minds and our hearts to have friends again, and then We keep trying till we find our own people. Thank you for watching today's episode of Real Talk Adulthood. If this episode meant something to you, if it spoke to you, if it reminded you of how much you need to take your friendship seriously, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to share it. Share it out there to those friends that you've been meaning to reach out to. Use it as an excuse to reconnect. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified each time every new episode drops. When did you last make a genuine friend as an adult? I would really love to hear your story. Next week on episode 9, we'll be asking one of the biggest questions in the adult life. Am I really in the right career? We'll be talking about work, career path, fulfillment, and what to do next when your path doesn't feel like it anymore. This is going to be next week and you don't want to miss it. Until then, reach out to someone out there today, even if it's just a text message. Connection starts with one small move. Thank you and take care.